Another day is here, and it gives me joy to come your way. Let me share with you a line of thought at this moment, especially on the necessity of relationship in leadership endeavor. Please note that the whole essence of creation is relationship. At first, when God created Adam, He gave him everything he needed. Large garden, filled with waters, streams, rivers, and trees of all sorts. But there was no fulfillment. God, looking down from heaven at him, he saw frustration reading on his face and all around him. Because man cannot relate with trees, with flowers. So God said to him, I will make for you an helpmate. That is the origin of relationship. It's important to note at this time that there is no way leadership can succeed without relationship. Roles of leaders cannot be carried out in abstract. You cannot lead at distance apart, or in isolation, or in a vacuum. Relationship has to be heart to heart, mind to mind. That's how to relate. As it were, therefore, relationship is the cord that ties people of different background together. The best relationship I've come to understand is human relationship. If you don't know how to relate with people, then you are heading for leadership crash. You can't lead the people without feeling them and they feeling you, for instance. Neither can you lead them without you seeing them and they seeing you. It is not possible without you touching them and they touching you. Take note of that. Leadership has to do with people seeing you and you seeing them, they touching you and you touching them, they feeling you and you feeling them. In leadership, you must be visible and touchable. There is no leadership without these fundamental factors. The better the relationship you keep, therefore, the greater your success in leadership. People may forget other things, but they can't forget you. Now, let's look at examples of great leaders. Moses was there among 3 million people. He felt what they felt. He saw what they saw. They followed him because they could see him, they could feel him, they could touch him. Think about David. He was constantly among people. David was practically branded as the shepherd. In 2 Samuel chapter 5, they said concerning David, in verse 2 specifically, also in time past, when Saul was king over us, look at that. Thou was he that leddest us out and brought in Israel. And the Lord said, thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be captain over Israel. So there's a difference between a ruler and a leader. David was a shepherd. Saul was an hireling. He ran away from the face of battle, while David went to face the battle to save God's people. David related with people. They saw him in their front, so they could follow him. Now, the greatest of all leaders, Jesus Christ, was fully dwelling among them. As a matter of fact, God sent him to come to dwell amongst the people. John 1:14. He was made flesh. He dwelt among the people. He identified with people in death, so they could identify with him in glory and honor. That's who a leader is. They heard him, they touched him, and then they followed him. How much are you available to people? How much do you feel with them? How much do you get to be compassionate for them? That is what determines or defines the strength of your leadership. can be a leader away from people, like we have in the governmental system today in many nations, where a leader takes resources and goes away, in quote, to enjoy himself while he leaves the followers suffering. A true leader will weep when people weep. He will smile only when he finds smile on their faces. He goes to sleep only when they sleep. He goes to identify with them in the midst of their suffering, difficulties, and hardship. The heartbeat of a true leader is people. He feels warm when they are warm. He feels cold when they are cold. He bows his head in pain when they are in sorrow. So followership is naturally sequential to the attitude of relationship of their leader with them. A true leader will find himself doing any of these three or all of it. Number one, he is ahead, taking the lead by example and offering guidance, so followers can see him. If followers can't see their leader, they have lost guidance. Number two, is in the middle with them, giving them assurance and confidence. And number three, is positioned behind them to be sure that no one or none of the followers is left behind at the risk of being overtaken by the enemy, and to be sure they are all carried along. Quickly, if you allow me, I'll add another example. A great man who became wonderful. Mordecai is his name. He was among the people speaking peace to them. You find that in Esther chapter 10, 1-3, specifically in verse 3. He was among them. Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus. He was not carried away by the new position. He was described as being great among the Jews and accepted of the multitude of his brethren. What a great description. He didn't impose himself. Through the services he rendered, he became great and accepted. How? He was seeking the wealth or the well-being of his people and speaking peace to all the sea. That's who a leader is. People can feel him, they can touch him, and so they can follow him in the ultimate. Now, just like pendulum, people swing towards the leader who relates. David came across a number of riffraffs, non-entities. He turned them into great hosts, even though not from an outstanding background, as it were. All of them were low people. So today, in your leadership endeavor, get in touch with people so that people can willingly follow you. It is not all who are selected or appointed as leaders that end as established in leadership. Will you put this to work and see how amazing it will work for you? I'm praying along with you that this will work tremendously in your hand as you put it to work. God bless you in Jesus' name.